You know, the stock market can sound super complicated, right? But what if I told you it's actually all built on one really simple idea? Well, over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the Malaysian stock market, starting with the most basic question you can ask.
Seriously, this is the best place to start, because once you get this, everything else just clicks into place. When you buy a stock, you're not just getting some digital receipt on your phone. You're literally buying a small piece of a real company.
So yeah, let's talk about that. A stock, or to use its official name, an equity share, is exactly what it sounds like. It's your very own slice of the corporate pie.
And here's what that really means for you. When you own that stock, you have a claim on everything the company owns. Its buildings, its technology, all its assets. And you're also entitled to a piece of its future profits. You're not just a customer anymore, you are, for real, a part owner.
Okay, but here's a huge difference between this and, say, a savings account. You can't just go and withdraw your investment. Nope. To get your money back, you have to sell your ownership slice to somebody else. And finding that somebody else? Well, that's exactly why we have a stock market in the first place. So if you need a place to find a buyer or even a seller to buy from, where does everyone go? They all meet up at a central marketplace. And here in Malaysia, that marketplace has a name.
That's right, it's Bursa Malaysia. This is basically the heart of the country's stock market. And it's not just a big building where numbers flash on a screen. It actually serves two absolutely vital functions for our whole economy.
Just think of it like a giant, busy two-way street. On one side, you've got companies who need to raise cash to build new things, to grow, to hire more people. On the other side, you've got investors, people like you and me, who want a place to put their savings to work, hoping to earn a return on that money. And all of this creates something magical called liquidity. It's a fancy word, but all it means is that because everyone, buyers and sellers, gathers in this one place, it's way easier to turn your investment back into cash whenever you want. It keeps the whole system flowing smoothly. Now, you're probably going to hear this word securities used a lot. Don't let it throw you off. It's just a general catch-all term for these tradable things, whether it's a share that shows you own something or a bond that shows someone owes you money. Simple as that. Okay, so all this buying and selling, it doesn't just happen in one big, chaotic muddle. It's actually neatly split into two different but connected markets.
Here's the easiest way to think about it. The primary market is like a car dealership selling brand new, fresh-off-the-line cars. It's where a company sells its shares for the very first time to raise money. The secondary market, well, that's like the used car market. It's where investors buy and sell those existing shares from each other day in and day out. The company itself isn't really involved in those trades. So, and this is key, whenever you turn on the news and hear that the market is up or that a stock price has jumped, they are almost always talking about the secondary market. That's where all the daily action happens.
Now, for a market like this to be fair and orderly, it can't just be a free-for-all. It doesn't happen by accident. There's actually a really clear structure in place, with some major players who make sure everything runs the way it's supposed to.
It's kind of like a three-layer system. Right at the top, you have the Securities Commission Malaysia, or the SC. They're like the referees. They set the big rules for the entire game. Then you have Bursa Malaysia, who not only operates the exchange but also acts as the on-the-ground regulator, making sure the daily trading is fair. And then there are the participating organizations. That's just the official name for stockbroking companies, the ones you'd actually open an account with to buy and sell shares.
All right, so we've looked at the parts and the players. But let's zoom out. Why does all of this even matter? What's the big picture here for the country?
When you strip everything else away, this is the most important job of the stock market. It takes all the savings from millions of ordinary people and powerfully channels that cash into companies that are building things, creating new ideas, and hiring people. It's basically the engine of the economy. And none of that would work without trust. That's why having all these rules and regulations is the absolute glue holding it together. Because, let's face it, if people didn't believe the game was fair, they just wouldn't risk their hard-earned money. Simple as that. So there you have it, from one little share of a company all the way to a giant engine for the nation's growth. You now know the what, the where, and the why of the Malaysian stock market. The only real question left is, now that you know how it all works, what are you going to do next?